The movie revolves around the machine, which mutates humans into killing cyborgs. These cyborgs are called mutants and are programmed to hunt down humans by dragging them to the machine pit, where the machine will convert them into mutants. According to the story, the machine came to Earth during the Ice Age, with the purpose of turning humans into mutants, which is possibly the alien form on its planet. But after hundreds of years, a brave warrior united the ancient tribes of man to seal the machine deep beneath the earth. The descendants of the brave warrior form a group called the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood keeps the knowledge of the machine alive through a book of the Mutant Chronicles. The movie then jumps into the future year 2707, where the world is ruled by 4 opposing corporations. During this year, human technology mostly functions through steam. Now, the resources to run human technology are scarce, causing the 4 corporations to fight over resources. This resulted in a bloody war between the corporations. One of the corporations employs a major assault on the defense line of another corporation, which causes a large battle in the land. The attacking corporation keeps bombing its adversary's defense line, while its soldiers are trying to hold their base. The sergeant of the adversary corporation figures out that the attacking corporation is moving forward to their defensive line, so they fire their cannon to prevent the enemy platoon from moving further. Amidst the battle, the explosives accidentally destroy the ancient technology that seals the machine. The forces of the 2 corporations continue to exchange bullets, while unknown to them that the mutants are unleashed out of the machine. Through the darkness, the fast-moving mutants quickly kill the soldiers, using their sharp blades. As the situation appears to be dire, the aircraft rescues the remaining soldiers, including the sergeant. Unfortunately, the sergeant's friend decides to be left out to continue fighting against the mutants. The Brotherhood eventually receives the news that the machine is unleashed, which could mark the beginning of the apocalypse. Brotherhood priest named Brother Samuel announces the news, saying that the mutants are dragging the dead bodies of the soldiers into the machine to turn them into mutants. The mutants soon ravage the cities and destroy everything in their path. The military forces of all corporations on Earth cannot stop the mutants, causing the others to evacuate toward Mars. Brother Samuel calls for an emergency with the leaders of the world, and they suggest that they need to evacuate to Mars. He replies that the available spaceships cannot evacuate everyone. He then states that according to the prophecy, the only way to stop the machine is to destroy it. He declares he is a man of faith, and says he only needs 20 soldiers to go under the earth to destroy the machine and stop the impending apocalypse. As the city barricade is broken, the world leaders evacuate to Mars. But one of the leaders decides to stay, and hands over 20 evacuation tickets to Brother Samuel. It turns out, people can only ride the spaceship by having evacuation tickets. After that, Brother Samuel immediately moves out to recruit the 20 soldiers that will help him destroy the machine. Soon after, he successfully recruits 20 soldiers including the sergeant, and he gathers them together. He gives the evacuation to the recruited soldiers, and the soldiers give it to their chosen beneficiary. The sergeant gives it to his comrade's family. He informs the 20 soldiers about the machine and their mission. It turns out that they need to traverse a deep network of tunnels underneath the earth, and use an ancient bombing device to destroy the machine. They need to place the ancient device in the center of the machine, and they can only activate it using an ancient key. If they fail the mission, the apocalypse is inevitable. The explosion can possibly kill them, which makes it a suicide mission. One of the recruits, Sam, shows them a sample of the mutant they capture. The mutant cannot feel pain, and cannot be killed by a single bullet. To kill the mutant, they need to inflict massive tissue damage on it, by using a sword or an explosive, or a gun. The captured mutant tries to break free, prompting the lady monk to instantly end its life using her sword. After that, Brother Samuel and his recruits prepare for their departure, and he also performs one last mass. The next day, the lady monk hands over swords to the recruits. They then ride the aircraft that will deliver them to the location of their mission. The aircraft slowly takes off, and it soon departs. Along the way, the aircraft faces a problem, as another aircraft controlled by a mutant is going against its way. The aircraft pilot opens fire at the other aircraft, but it fails to hit it. Just then, the other aircraft crashes toward them, causing their aircraft to be on fire. Brother Samuel and the recruits then enter the emergency shuttle. The emergency shuttle detaches from the aircraft, and it falls from the sky. They activate the shuttle parachute, and safely land from the sky. One of the recruits gets fatally injured, leaving the others no choice but to leave him to die by himself. As the aircraft fails to deliver them to their target location, they need to travel by foot at this point. They pass through a destroyed city, where its residents are trying to evacuate. The sergeant observes the situation, and sees the soldiers are forcing the residents to pay for their evacuation. The sergeant then tells the soldiers to evacuate the woman and the children first. But the soldiers only make fun of him, so he shoots one of the soldiers to death, ending his mocking life. This forces the remaining soldiers to follow his order to evacuate everyone. After the commotion, the mission team continues their journey toward the catacomb in the lost city that leads to the machine. They eventually arrive in the catacomb, which has a dark and deep tunnel. They use a very long rope to climb down the tunnel, but it is still not enough to reach the ground beneath. They throw a light flare to figure out how far they are from the ground. The flare falls too far. Brother Samuel checks the map, and it indicates that they are near their 60th floor leading to their destination. He falls out of the rope, and the sergeant tries to hold him for a while. He still falls, but it turns out that the 60th floor is just under them. It's shown that the flare light falls in the hole in the floor, causing it to appear that they are still far from the 60th floor. Just then, the mutants appear out of the darkness, and they swarm toward the mission team. In response, the mission team exchanges fire at the ugly mutants. One of them falls from above, causing him to be fatally injured. Before his death, he throws a grenade into the swarm of mutants, allowing the mission team to proceed with their journey. Brother Samuel checks the map, so they can figure out their next step. After a while, they walk through a sewer, which leads them further under the ground. There, they see mutants below, dragging bodies toward the machine. The sergeant finds his comrade being dragged by the mutants, prompting him to go down to save his comrade despite Sam's objection. The mission team continues walking forward, while the sergeant climbs down to get his injured comrade. He assures his comrade that his comrade's family is safe, since he gave them his evacuation ticket. His comrade's injury is too bad, so he has to mercy kill the comrade in the end. Afterward, the mission team reaches a narrow pathway, where Sam accidentally falls into a pit full of mutants. The mutants swarm at Sam. Brother Samuel suggests that they need to continue with their mission. One of the mission team, Babe, decides to jump to save Sam, and the rest of the mission team follows her. They fight against the mutants with their guns and swords, and also use explosives to bomb out of the mutants. After a moment, they clear mutants in the pit, but most of the mission team has been killed, including Brother Samuel. The sergeant eventually arrives at the scene, and finds the lady monk. He gathers the pages of the Chronicles book, since he still needs to continue with their mission. He moves forward with the lady monk. After a while, they find the pit, where the mutants are throwing the humans to convert them into mutants. The sergeant and the lady monk set up a network of explosives, and make them explode to clear the mutants around. They then find Sam and Babe being dragged by the mutants in a brutal fashion, and they manage to save the two from the mutants' humiliation. The remaining four use a rope to climb down the pit, which finally leads to the machine itself. More mutants arrive in the area, and Sam sacrifices himself to allow the other three to safely climb down the pit. Sam makes himself explode with a bomb. The sergeant, Babe, and the lady monk reach the machine. There, the machine's mechanism automatically tries to turn the sergeant into a mutant. It operates like a factory to process the mutation. Halfway through the process, the sergeant manages to free himself. After that, he follows Babe and the lady monk, who already make their way to the heart of the machine. He grabs the ancient device, and places it in the center of the machine, while the other two fight against the incoming mutants using their swords. After that, he still needs to place the detonator and the device key in the machine to finally make it work. He's having a hard time trying to figure out how to properly place the detonator. He then tries to look at the barely readable pages of the Chronicles book. Brother Samuel, who is now a mutant, approaches them, and the lady monk hesitates to kill him. The sergeant tells her to kill Brother Samuel because he's no longer a human, but she still hesitates, so she ends up being killed by the mutant Brother Samuel. On the other side, Babe's partner, who's also now a mutant, approaches Babe. The partner quickly attacks her, causing her to fall to the rotating metal blade that cuts her. The sergeant then shoots her mutant partner to death in response. Just then, the mutant Brother Samuel attacks the sergeant without mercy. This time, the sergeant no longer has bullets, so he fights against the mutant Brother Samuel with his bare muscles. He exchanges punches with the mutant Brother Samuel, until he manages to push him into the heart of the machine. He then repeatedly punches his mutant face. Then, he finds the sword-like key on the ground that will activate the ancient device. He grabs it, and inserts it into the machine through the mutant body of Brother Samuel. After that, the entire structure of the machine shakes, indicating that the ancient device is already working to destroy the machine. The sergeant tries to figure out how he can save his own life. With a little bit of human awareness, Brother Samuel tells the sergeant to jump with faith. The sergeant jumps into the deep abyss, unaware of what awaits him underneath. After a while, he lands in the water, making him completely uninjured. The ancient device detonates, causing the machine to fly high into space, where it eventually disappears. This means that the sergeant manages to finish the mission to end the impending apocalypse. In the end, the Chronicles book shows the rocket flying to Mars, implying the possibility that the apocalypse is not yet over. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching. You should check these recaps.